Now, a series of recent incidents is fueling fears about the safety and security of politicians and activists in Germany. The latest, in the eastern city of Dresden, was caught on camera by a DW team.
A run-of-the-mill campaign event turns ugly. A Green politician set upon by two bystanders, threatening our camera team and spitting on her.
Ey, sag mal, spinnst du?
We've joined Yvonne Mosler, who is running for local office in Dresden. Her party, the Greens, have become a prime target of political violence in recent months.
I think it's especially important in this district, where you have a lot of non-voters, to maybe motivate them again to vote and to at least show your face and to say we're here.
As the team moved to another area, the mood became tense. A group nearby shouted a banned Nazi slogan. And support for the far-right AfD party. Then this happened.
Down with this rubbish.
You know you're breaking the law. Why are you doing this?
While Mosler documented the evidence, another group started heckling her and her team, calling them pedophiles. They decided it was best to retreat.
Well, you see that the arguments are not founded, but it's something they've picked up somewhere. I hadn't heard this one before, actually. It's a new one for me. But yeah, we'll keep on fighting.
But they don't get far before they're confronted.
Delete that picture right now.
Camera off.
Turn the camera off.
Can someone call the police?
You delete that photo, you bloody green.
Hey, are you crazy?
As the pair intimidate the group and demand that they delete their pictures, witnesses try to reach the police.
Delete my photo now.
So, first of all, it took a long time before we got through to them. Then they didn't take the matter seriously, and then they said that they will take 5 to 10 minutes, even though they were told that threats were made against the group. Just so you know, the police station is a 3-minute walk away from here. I'm extremely personally disappointed, and I think this is something we will have to talk about.
Police officers eventually arrived. Officials say they're investigating the suspects for assault, vandalism, and for using unconstitutional slogans.
Let's dig into this with our political correspondent, Matthew Moore. Matthew, give us the background to what has happened in that video we just saw.
Well, it was against this background of increasing political violence here in Germany that we, Deutsche Welle News, we wanted to go out and speak to politicians, especially from the Green Party, who've been targeted over recent months. We wanted to speak to them about how they feel on the campaign trail, their concerns about safety. And in amongst this filming opportunity, things got tense. As they were hanging posters, we could hear a group nearby shouting Nazi slogans that are banned in Germany, shouting support for far-right political parties. And out of nowhere, one of the men tore down one of the posters that the Green politician was hanging. And moments later, then you saw the scene that we've just shown you there, which was a pair of people, bystanders, basically confronted the politician and her team, demanded that they turn off the cameras, and threatened our cameraman, told the politician that she was, well, something that we can't say here on air, but really quite an unsavoury scene unfolded there, and the lady spat in the Green politician's face. And this all unfolded kind of before our cameras, as we saw. And the police did eventually arrive. The politician told us that she was kind of disappointed about how long it took them, but they did eventually get there, and they said that they're investigating the case for alleged intimidation and the use of unconstitutional symbols. So it's a snapshot, really, of the political climate here in Germany at the moment.
Indeed, we should say that this is just the latest in a string of attacks on politicians recently in Germany. What does this tell us about the political atmosphere here?
it's feeling polarised at the moment, I would say. It's very tense at the moment. We have local elections taking place in where we were there in Dresden, but there's European-wide elections. And it seems that when you look at the numbers, the number of either physical or verbal attacks on politicians is increasing. And it feels like every week now we're talking about an attack on a politician or a campaign event that had to be cancelled because of intimidation. And it's interesting that the Greens are often one of the parties that are most targeted. The AFD, the far right AFD too, they're targeted sometimes by anti-fascist left-wing groups. The Greens, though, it seems that they're kind of targeted across the spectrum at the moment. They're the subject of, they're kind of portrayed as villains in the piece, if you like, because of their either from sending weapons to Ukraine or because people think that they're trying to change German way of life. They're transitioning too quickly into to renewable energies, for example. But this whole thing, it really just speaks to a climate of concern in Germany, especially given Germany's past. And yesterday, the Interior Minister held a conference with officials across the country to talk about ways that they can protect democracy and protect politicians. Among the things they're suggesting is increasing punishments for people who attack politicians and increasing police presence when politicians are out on the streets campaigning for votes.
I'd like to bring in Heike Kleffner, a journalist who's been working on right-wing extremism for decades, also the executive director of the German Association of Counseling Centers for Victims of Right-Wing Racist and Anti-Semitic Violence. Thank you so much for speaking with us today. As we've heard, these latest attacks have raised fears about growing political violence here in Germany. Why are we seeing an increase in attacks against elected officials?
Unfortunately, we've seen this increase for the last 5 years. And if we look back at the summer of 2019, Walter Lübcke, the local district governor in the state of Hesse, in nearby the big city of Kassel, was cold-bloodedly shot and murdered by a neo-Nazi who committed an act of right-wing terrorism. And what this act of right-wing terrorism against a well-known politician of the Christian Democrats did was that first there was a lot of disbelief, unfortunately. And then there was a moment of a wake-up call. And since then, the attention turned away on the threats that politicians and mayors have been facing over the last 5 years.
And is there a trend of who is typically behind such attacks?
Unfortunately, we see a trend, and we see that in areas where the right-wing extremist party AfD has a lot of electoral support and a lot of presence, that the rise of violent hate crimes is really dramatic. And Saxony, Thuringia, also Brandenburg are areas where these attacks and hate crimes in general have risen to unprecedented heights over the last year. And a lot of times people are attacked due to racist motives, or they are attacked as political opponents because they are active with the Greens, with local refugee welcome initiatives, or on environmental and climate issues.
And some people watching this will say, well, Germany also has a history of left-wing violence. Can you put this into perspective for us and what you would say to them?
What I would say to them is that the federal German Ministry of Interior, for very good reasons, has said that violent right-wing extremism is the biggest threat to national security in Germany and has been the biggest threat over the last 5 years. And what we've seen is that even a former judge and former policeman are right now on trial for seditious conspiracy together with other right-wing extremists with a plan, at least that's what the Attorney General assumes, to topple the German democratic institutions through violent means.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today with that insight. That is journalist Heike Kleffner.